Greetings, welcome to presentations of group assignment for TE30503 language and test items. And for today, the presentation will be about analysis and our findings for Uasa test items. My name is Asfar, and today I will be accompanied by my other group members named Amin, Hannah, and Helen. So without further ado, let's jump into the first section of our presentation. So now let's take a look about what the TOTS or Table of Test Specification it is. So a TOTS is a systematic blueprint used by educators to design a test that is fair, balanced, and valid. So it acts as a roadmap that links the learning outcomes of the curriculum to the actual test item that we created. So, and without TOTS, a test might become biased because it might too focus on the grammar without really relying on the reading comprehension. So by using this table, we ensure that every question that we created has a specific purpose and the difficulty levels are well distributed and according to the proficiency of the student itself. So now let's look at our specific TOTS for this Uasa paper. For the reading component, which is the largest question, has covering part 1 to 5, which consists of 40 questions in total. And we use 1 mark per 1 question rule, where it worth 40 marks in total, and we have allocated 90 minutes in total for student to complete it. And moving on to the next part, which is the writing component, it covers part 6 to 7, where it has only 2 questions, but they are worth 40 marks in total because they require more creative productions. And we have allocated 60 minutes for this for student to complete it. And to combine, our paper feature 42 items in total, which carry 80 marks, and a total testing time for this test item should be done around 150 minutes. So now let's dive into the first part of our questions, which known as the objective questions. So in this part, will consist of 8 questions in total and follow the rules of 1 mark per 1 questions. So in total, it will give the students 8 marks, and for this part, we suggest that students could spend around 15 minutes to complete it. And regarding of the taxonomy level, these questions fall under the lower order thinking skill LOTS, where the students must retrieve and recognize specific facts. Level 1, which is remembering.
Moving on to the next part. Part 2 is an error correction task. It consists of 8 questions with 1 mark allocated per question. The expected time is 15 minutes. In terms of Bloom taxonomy, these fall under level 3 applying, as students must apply their knowledge of grammar and syntax rules to rectify errors in context. For part 3, it is an information transfer task. This also contains 8 questions at 1 mark each, but with a longer expected time of 20 minutes. This task fall under level 2 of Bloom's taxonomy understanding, as it requires students to identify and categorize specific facts from the text into a structured format.
8 questions carrying 1 mark each, and the suggested time to complete is 20 minutes. This part is a combination of true or false and fill in the blank questions. In terms of Bloom's taxonomy, this part assesses the analysis level, as students need to examine the text carefully and match information accurately to the given questions. For part 5, the question type is gap-fill question at the sentence level. This section consists of 2 passages with 4 missing sentences from each passage. Each correct answer carries 1 mark, making a total of 8 marks for this part. The suggested time to complete is 20 minutes. In terms of Bloom's taxonomy, this part assesses the analysis level, as students need to examine the passage carefully and match ideas accurately to complete the missing sentences.
So moving on to the essay question. So this paper will consist of 2 essay questions that assess student writing skills. So part 1 is an email writing task worth 20 marks with 20 minutes allocated. Students will write about 60 words giving advice to a friend choosing between badminton or tennis. These questions mainly target Bloom's create level, as students must generate ideas, organize level, and write using appropriate email convention. And part 2 is a short narrative essay, also worth 20 marks. With 40 minutes allocated, students will write about 90 words describing about your first tennis match experience. This task also falls under Bloom's Create label, as students will produce an original and personal recount. Overall, both questions focus on communicative writing, organization, and basic language accuracy. As our group was tasked with designing a Form 1 English reading and writing trial UASA test, this experience has taught us how important assessment is in language learning. Assessments isn't just about giving marks, it helps teachers understand students' strengths, weakness, and progress. In Malaysia, stats like UASA are often aligned with the CEFR, which ensures fairness and consistency. For Form 1 students who are moving from primary to secondary school and have very different backgrounds, assessment is the key in building confidence, motivation, and positive learning experience. As future teachers, we realize that a good assessments also guide our teaching and help us to plan lessons that meet the needs of all students, especially when their ability are so mixed.
So now let's talk about what I've learned throughout the process of developing these test items. So I will say my understanding over the table of specifications become better, because at the first glance, when we created the test questions, most of us base the questions on our own experience. For example, like reading passages, comprehension questions, and writing tasks that we thought that it will be suitable for them, which is our targeted learners, Form 1 students. But soon we realized that our approach wasn't really systematic, because we don't really match the CEFR level of the students, of our target learners. So in order to achieve that that match with that CEFR, we need to apply the TOS first. So the TOS itself works as a blueprint of a test. So in order to making a test, you need to have a blueprint. So the blueprint itself named as a table of specifications, where we allocate our questions based on CEFR level of the target learners. So when applying this method, we could check if the test itself matched the CEFR level, and does it really included appropriate difficulties for the targeted learners. So in overall, it changed how we approach the assessment itself, from guessing what works to planning carefully and intentionally.
Challenges. One of the biggest issues we faced was designing a test for students with very different levels of English. Some students had higher proficiency and could read and write confidently, while others were still struggling with basic words and sentences. We had to make sure the test was fair, not too easy for the higher proficiency students, but also not too hard for those who were still learning. To help with this, we used Bloom's taxonomy to guide the design of our questions. For the reading part, we focus on tasks that involve understanding, applying, and analyzing information, which are suitable for Form 1 students. For writing, we included tasks like writing an email or a short personal essay. These tasks encourage students to organize their ideas and express themselves clearly while still being achievable. This way, we could assess their real communication skill without overwhelming them or lowering their confidence.
To conclude, the biggest lesson we learned is that assessment should be meaningful and practical. We choose text and writing tasks that students can relate to, such as email, school notice, or describing personal experience, so that they can connect with the task and feel confident when answering it. We also realized the importance of fairness and reliability. The test must measure what it's supposed to, and the marking should be consistent. So, by using the TOS, CEFR descriptor, and clear rubric for writing, make sure that every student was assessed fairly. Overall, this experience show us that creating a good assessment is more than just writing a question. It's about planning carefully, balancing difficulty, making it relevant to students' life, and supporting their learning and confidence in English.